Hey everyone, I'm your astrologer Brittany of Ethereal Astrology, helping you to see the larger story of your life with horoscopes that emphasize the cycles of the moon and the slower moving planets. Today, you're watching your collective horoscope for the full moon in the sign of Aquarius, which occurs on Monday, August 19th, 2024 at 2:25 p.m. Eastern Time or 11:25 a.m. Pacific Time. Now, what I think is going on here at this full moon in Aquarius is that we are feeling more liberated and free from guilt and shame around asserting ourselves, our own best interest, being happy, doing what we love, and are trying to act suddenly and unexpectedly from this more free and liberating place to be our authentic self, but it just still not working out maybe quite the way that we might like, and creating inner tension with ourselves, maybe even disagreements here with other people too. And it's still not working out just because this perspective is so new and so different, and we need a little more time and practice here in order to get used to it and do it a bit more effectively here and work some more things out. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you want to hear more about that, please do stay tuned because we're going to talk about it right now. In order to get started, what I like to do first is just place on the chart what it is that I'm going to be talking about here in this video so that you can see it and follow along with me. So let's do that now. Again, this video for a collective horoscope for the full moon in Aquarius. Because of that, I've adjusted my chart accordingly. I know that my chart is for the full moon because I see the moon here in Aquarius, 27 degrees, making an exact opposition over here to the sun in Leo. And when the moon opposes the sun here like this, that is considered a full moon. So that's what we're looking at. And of course, it's in Aquarius because that's where the moon is. Okay, now what are full moons about? Let's talk about this full moon in just a very broad general sense. Well, full moons to me are a lot about stepping into things that maybe we've been working towards for quite some time. Not only is it about that, it also too is about bringing things to completion or full moon fulfillment here as well. Not only that, but I also see full moons too as a time of insight and revelation, since that is when the moon is the brightest in the sky, helping us to see things that we did not see before. Not only that, but sometimes full moons to me can also indicate us feeling like we need to make a decision, with it being a function here of an opposition, and it's hard to do two opposite things at once. And now, what is it that we are stepping into or trying to complete and fulfill and get realizations about and maybe make decisions about here as well? Well, that's Aquarius themes here because that is the sign that this full moon is in. What are Aquarius themes here that's going on? Well, one of the things that Aquarius is being ruled by both Uranus and Saturn, but mostly Uranus by modern astrologers, is a lot about breaking free from things, Uranus, or detaching from things, and detaching from more Saturn matters like restrictions or the expectations here of society, especially Aquarius has to do with the collective or of other people. So that's one of the things, big themes here that we're trying to do at this full moon in Aquarius, is to realize where we're too much ingrained in the expectations and restrictions of society and to other people here, and to make decisions to try to really break free from those things, okay, that have been holding us back. In addition to that, Aquarius is also a lot about freedom to be our authentic self here as well. So not only at this full moon are we really trying to better realize, understand where we're still stuck in restrictions from society, the collective, other people that are preventing us from being our authentic self, but we're also trying to make decisions to be that authentic version, to be free to express that here authentically in the ways that it is that we might need. Okay, another thing that I want to note about Aquarius as well is not only is it about our freedom as individuals, but again, it is a collective, a sign of the collective, of society, of groups of people here as well, and of letting them be free too, right? If one person is free to be their authentic self, but another person isn't free to be their authentic self, then it's not really the concept here that's going on. So I think not only what's happening at this full moon in Aquarius is that we're trying to realize where we're stuck in the expectations of society and other people that are not our own, and to remove those so that we can be free to be our authentic self, but we're also trying to extend that same courtesy to other people, that they can break free from our expectations too, and also be allowed to be their authentic self too. I think that's going on. And not only that, but I also want to note as well that Aquarius is an air sign. Air signs do tend to be more cerebral, more in the mind, and less emotional, so to speak. So not only are some of the other things that I mentioned going on here, breaking free from expectations of other people in society that have been keeping us stuck so that we can be free to be ourselves, and extending that same freedom to other people to let them be themselves, even if it doesn't meet our expectations here. But I think we're also trying to release and let go of any intense or negative emotions surrounding that experience, or how we think we should be or other people should be here, kind of letting that go here, and pursuing different ideas or allowing different ideas to come into the picture. Not only that, but Aquarius is very future oriented as well, and innovative here too, and can bring, again, being an air sign, a lot of ideas about that, about our future, who we want to be in the future, how we want to do things in an innovative way after this point with ourselves and others too. So there can also be a lot of ideas that can come up surrounding that here that's going on. Not only that, but some of these too could be unexpected, because Aquarius is the sign of the unexpected. And not only could the unexpected thing be these ideas, we unexpectedly are getting ideas about ourselves and our future, but could also be an unexpected realization of what needs to be broken free from, and unexpected behaviors, right, that may happen that we may do or someone else may do as well, in order to break free from these things that have been keeping us stuck. So there can also be some of that's going on here as well. Okay, so that's what I think to me are the main themes that stand out. I'm just going to repeat that one last time. I like to do that here. I think repetition is really important to learning. At least that's what my mom told me growing up. So I'm going to do it here. What I think are the main themes here of this full moon in Aquarius, of which this video is for, is that we're really trying to realize where we're still stuck in the expectations of other people or of society or the rules of society here, and break free from those so that we can be our authentic self here that's going on, and to extend that same freedom for other people to have them be their authentic self here as well, even if it doesn't align with our ideas here. And not only are we trying to break free from these things that are keeping us stuck, be our authentic self, let other people do it, but we're also receiving a bunch of new ideas about our future and who we could be next, and releasing the attachments to a lot of negative things from the past here as well, all of which may occur suddenly and unexpectedly here as we do it. Okay, now before I move forward to give you even more detail about those themes and how I think they're going to play out this full moon, I'm going to go backwards in time for a minute here before I move forward to explain some previous astrological alignments that have occurred. I'm going to do that because I just believe that context is extremely important to understanding what's going on right now, and can change a lot of things from horoscope to horoscope, right? Because there's a full moon in Aquarius every year. What makes one more different than the other? So I'm going to do that. If you're not interested in hearing that, or if it's taken too long, whatever your reasons are, it's totally fine. You can go ahead and skip forward in the video. I will put timestamps down below in the description box so that you can easily do that and choose your own adventure here with this video. But I'm going to go and hop into it now. For those who've been watching this, you know I like to start with an alignment that occurred, it feels like quite some time ago now, and it was around the beginning, what is it, like January to March maybe of 2020, and around that time we had a very rare and difficult astrological alignment occur, and that was Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, and the South Node all coming conjunct around the middle to late degrees here of Capricorn. That was a very significant and rare alignment because Saturn and Pluto only come conjunct about roughly every 35 years, and not always with Jupiter and the South Node there. So that makes it more rare. Not only that, but it's a very difficult alignment because Saturn and Pluto do tend to be a little bit more challenging than, say, the personal planets here. And also, too, because Jupiter was in Capricorn, a sign it doesn't like to be in, and therefore doesn't function that well. And in the South Node too can also be a bit difficult here as well. So a very rare challenge that was going on. What was the rare challenge here? Well, Jupiter can be about understanding and realizations here, and with all these negative things going on and understanding and a realization that something in our life wasn't right here and hadn't been for quite some time, maybe the past 35 years, that we either did not like the life we'd created for the past 35 years or just outgrown it, right? We're changing, we're different, moving on, and just outgrown it. Not only is it the realization here that there's something in our lives that's just not right, that's been going on for quite some time, but that we needed to make big, Jupiter, big planet, transformative change, Pluto here, in order to end the things we did not like and get out of those things that we had outgrown so that we can eventually move on. Okay. And it was us realizing that and then taking the first steps to end those things here, which again was very difficult. It's difficult to end things that have been a part of your life for a while. Okay. That then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which is about 2 years later. Here, somewhere around March-April of 2022 here, and it was going to be right about here, a new moon solar eclipse in Taurus on the North Node. And now this to me was more of a positive thing because it was on the North Node, which tends to be more helpful about our purpose and our path here. All of that. So I think this is a good thing. What was a good thing? Well, new moons are about new beginnings, fresh starts. Eclipses superpower that. The North Node is positive, and it's in Taurus, a lot about fertility and abundance, a lot about our needs and values, and feeling a little more secure in that and a little more solid here. So what I think happened 2 years after 2020 is that we felt like we had ended enough things that were no longer meant for us or that we didn't like, so that we were in a much better place, I don't know if I want to say much better, but a bit of a better place that's a little more solid, a little more in alignment with us, and that's more fertile, where we have more room to grow and create something different and better for ourselves after this point. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which happened about 2 weeks after that, somewhere also around April of 2022. And that was going to be a full moon lunar eclipse in the opposite sign here of Taurus, which is going to be Scorpio. Now, this to me was a bit of a more of a challenging alignment here, a bit more challenging because that eclipse is on the South Node, which does tend to be more hard here. Also, too, because the moon was in Scorpio, a sign it doesn't like to be in. Here in full moons can also be a little bit more volatile as well. So this to me was a bit of a challenge. What is the challenge that was going on? Well, the South Node does indicate things that we're still stuck in that are preventing us from moving forward, say into that fertile new beginning that was more in alignment with us, that we just felt like we'd arrived in 2 weeks prior. Why was it that we're stuck and unable to move forward into that? Well, usually the South Node indicates habits that we can't let go of, that are too ingrained in us. And in this case, they're Scorpio tendencies, because that's where the South Node was at that time here, indicating that it's the Scorpio tendencies that are unhelpful. Okay, not always. Scorpio tendencies aren't always helpful just at that time. Okay, what are those tendencies that weren't helpful? Well, Scorpio in a negative way can indicate too much change, right? We were still stuck in like all these changes, because that's what we've been doing since 2020, is ending stuff. So it would be too stuck in those, and we needed to stop making changes because we're in a better place now. Do you see? Not only that, but it could have indicated us being too stuck in negative emotions, right? Scorpio's a water sign, subconscious emotions here. So we could also be too stuck in those, right? Which makes sense if 2020 was traumatic, right? And the things we were ending is traumatic, but still we're stuck in those, and those aren't helpful to building a better experience, right? You don't want to indulge negative emotions when you're in a better place, because you might recreate those. So we still had some of those that was going on. Not only that, but Scorpio is a relationship sign, about intertwining too deeply with relationships or giving too much of our power away to them here. So there also, we also were stuck in that. There were still some things with relationships that maybe we had been trying to end that still, felt like we were still stuck in or involved with. That was also very hard, also preventing us from still moving forward in this better experience. Not only that, but Scorpio too can be a money sign as well, and typically of losing money or too intertwined with other people, your resources here as well. So not only that, but we could have been stuck in debt, money issues, things like that. Here, that was really hard. That was also not conducive, right, to moving forward in a better experience. You want to be in debt when you're trying to create something better here as well. That could have been going on, that could have been hard, that we needed to get rid of. Okay. And if I can be honest with you, I think that it took us like a pretty long time to realize that we were still stuck in those habits that weren't conducive anymore, and to really overcome those and get rid of those. so that we can move forward on the new beginning. It really wasn't until a year later, around April of 2023 now, April of 2023, we had another eclipse, and this was a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aries, somewhere around here. Okay, now this to me was also meant to be helpful and positive here because it was on the North Node as well. And again, North Node is to me is more helpful here too. And also I need to note, because we had two planets change signs significantly in the weeks and months before that. Pluto moved into Aquarius and Saturn moved into Pisces here around that time, which can also indicate big chapter changes in our lives, for the better, to learn old lessons, and finish with those. So this to me was a helpful thing. What was the helpful thing? Well, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, new beginnings, fresh starts, here doing things in different ways and all of that. And the eclipse was giving us more of a boost to do that here. So I think what happened in April of 2023 is we felt like over the course of the past few years, we'd ended enough things that no longer resonated with us here and got rid of some of the negative emotions, the debt, the relationships here, and the intense changes that were holding us back, so that now we could begin again. So now we could begin again in a new and better experience of life that's more fertile and abundant, and move forward on that and get the show on the road. Okay. I think that was meant to be a good thing, but even though that was meant to be a good thing, we had a challenging alignment that occurred shortly after, around May of 2023. All right, May of 2023, we had, what was it? Venus. I believe it was Venus here, go retrograde in the sign of Leo right about here. Okay, now that was a challenging alignment because it's a planet going retrograde, which is not a direction that it normally goes in here, and it's a personal planet, which indicates things that are more close to home, so to speak, or that are felt more closely here too. So this was hard. What was it indicating? Us feeling stuck, right? It's a planet moving backwards. I was feeling stuck, still not moving forward, moving backwards again here. That could have been very hard, not only to indicate that, but I think it indicated that there was some issue that still needed to be resolved, or else why would it go retrograde here? What were the issue that needed to be resolved? Well, I think a lot of it was a Leo issue, because that's where the retrograde was. Leo is a lot about happiness, joy, pleasure, having fun with life, enjoying life here. And I think we just weren't there yet, especially with Pluto retrograding back into Capricorn around that time. I think we're still stuck in Capricorn emergency mode. Sometimes Capricorn can go emergency mode, stiff, structure, responsibility here, that wasn't allowing us to have fun, right? And if a new experience of life is not only supposed to be better, more fertile, abundant, but also fun, right? That's the whole point of it here that's going on. So we realized that we were in a new experience of life, but we weren't really letting ourselves have fun and enjoy it and bring our heart into it. And we're still stuck in emergency mode, and that we needed to work through that. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment I want to mention around July of 2023 here. Around July of 2023, we had Pluto back in Capricorn here, square the nodal axis, which includes the South Node here in Libra and the North Node here in Aries. Okay, now this can also indicate extreme stuckness as well. So this is another indicator of that. But because I already mentioned that, it can also bring something else. And a square to the nodes in evolutionary astrology can also bring big choices, life-changing choices that really need to be made, and drastic choices here in order to shift the trajectory of our lives. And I think big life-changing choices to make changes, Pluto out of emergency mode, Capricorn, so that we can get more into our heart with the Leo stuff and happiness and joy and things like that. So I think in July of last year, we realized I'm really not happy. This is a problem because I'm trying to be in a new and better experience of life. I need to make more big drastic changes to adjust things here that are keeping me in emergency mode so that I can be happier. And we took those moves to do that here, which I think was very good. Here, that then leads me now to the next alignment I want to mention, which was the beginning of this year here. I believe it was also around April, May of 2024. Maybe I'll say it was April. All the dates are hard to keep track of now. But what we had there was, of course, we did have a solar eclipse in Aries, but we also had Jupiter come into a conjunction with Uranus, which also is a rare alignment here in the sign of Taurus, which it doesn't really do that often. Okay, this to me was meant to also be a helpful alignment here. In some ways, as well with Jupiter there being a planet of gifts and good luck. What was the good thing happening? Well, Jupiter again can bring gifts, good luck, positive things. Uranus can bring them somewhat suddenly and unexpectedly here. And it's in Taurus again, which is about stability, security, a more fertile and abundant chapter of life, and us feeling more secure in that and more ready to go for that again here with also our resources. Taurus has to do about money and our confidence as well, also increasing in order to help us make that happen here in the ways that it is that we need. Okay. So that happened there. Then what is that? Like the third time we felt able to move forward on a new experience of life. Okay, that then leads me now to the next element that I want to mention, which I believe is going to be the new moon in Gemini in June, somewhere right around here. What happened at that new moon in Gemini in June is that we started to get a whole bunch of new ideas and thoughts and more excited now about life and what we could do next, right? Now that we're in a more solid place again to move forward in a new experience with more security and more confidence. We got tons of ideas. But even though we got tons of ideas at that new moon in Gemini, we really didn't know which idea to pursue here, or were all over the place or confused about which one to pursue that was going on. It wasn't until the next new moon in Cancer, somewhere in July here, that we started to get more clarity about which idea we needed to pursue out of all the ones we can now do next. And I think the clarity that we started to get here about which idea to pursue is going to be the ideas that are easier, that are quicker, that are shorter, that we can do independently, and that we don't have to make a lot of commitments for, and to not pursue ideas that are long, drawn out, complex, serious, and going to involve a lot of other people. And I think we got that insight here to pursue things that are easier, shorter, quicker, because we're still trying to figure out our bearings in life, and we don't want to commit to a mistake, commit to something that doesn't really resonate with us here as well, because we're trying to have more fun, right? And that's what it is when you're doing things easy. Okay. That was going on. So we started to realize that. But even though we started to realize that, as we got to the new moon in Leo 2 weeks ago now in August, we started to have some problems here, really, expressing that boldly with the Leo. We had problems really going forward on that easier, shorter, quicker, more independent ideas and path that we wanted to go on. And I think we started to have problems because of externally other people making us feel guilty and ashamed for doing what was in our best interest, for doing things easier, for maybe not including some of them, for maybe not committing to them in the way that they might like. Here that's happening, and where we were guilting and shaming ourselves, for doing things in an easier way because it wasn't hardworking enough, it wasn't perfect enough, we're being too lazy. Here that's going on. And we also had problems doing that because of maybe some fear around asserting ourselves and being bold. Here that was going on. So we started having problems with that, and weird things started happening, feeling like we can't be easy, like we got to do these other ideas that we don't really want to do or that we didn't think we should do, that is hard. And creating disagreements also with other people. Okay. And because that's what's going on, now we get to this full moon in Aquarius finally, which is what this video is for. And that's about us starting to realize what's going on here, right? That we want to do things shorter, easier, quicker, happier, independent, more free, all of that. But that the conditioning of society and of other people that we care about is preventing us from doing so, is preventing us from doing those things and making us feel guilty and ashamed, and that we need to break free from those things to be our authentic self and let other people do the same, give them the same freedom in order to do so here, so that we can be our authentic self. And where we're getting, as a result of that realization, a lot maybe we're acting unexpectedly to do that, and getting a whole bunch of unexpected insights now about our future, now that the doors are opening up to us, and where we're letting go of any negative emotions from the past few weeks that may have plagued us here. That's going on here, so we can move on. Okay, and that's it. Okay, maybe to repeat that briefly. Over the course of the past few years, we've been trying to get to a new and better chapter of life here, but it's been hard. There's been lots of fits and starts for various reasons. Okay, the first thing, we were still stuck in negative emotions, debt, relationships, things like that. And then because we weren't happy. And now within the past few months, we've arrived again at another time to move forward into a new and better experience of life. we're very excited about it, and we've realized that the best way to move forward into a new experience of life is to do things short, easy, quick, independent here. But there's a lot of resistance to that from ourselves and others that we're now at this full moon in Aquarius trying to break free from, so that we can be our authentic self, do things easy, short, quick, in our best interest here, and release the negative emotions about that, and do more of that, and are getting lots of downloads about our future as a result. Okay, so that's it. Okay, now that I've covered that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in now to take a closer look at the full moon itself and the aspects it's making, and to give more specific details around that. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and place on the chart one more time this full moon. So let's do it. We've got the moon here in Aquarius making an opposition over here to the sun in Leo. Okay, so that's there. Maybe just to recap, right? The full moon in Aquarius is about us detaching from the expectations of society and others, releasing negative emotions around that, being more free to be our authentic self, and getting a lot of unique ideas about our future, okay, that are coming in. The first alignment that I want to look at here is going to be Mercury. I'm going to look at, and it's very significant alignment here, making a still retrograde, making a conjunction to the sun here in Leo, and an opposition here over to the moon. Now, the first thing that I want to say is that I actually like this. This to me is the bright spot during the Mercury retrograde period. Here, it happens every Mercury retrograde, and it's the bright spot in a quite literal sense, because this is when Mercury retrograde conjuncts the sun, which is very bright. But also very good to me too, because it indicates an important moment here in the Mercury retrograde cycle, in which we're able to get insight or illumination as well, with it being the sun, very bright here, about the retrograde period, about what it's going on, what needs to be worked through, and where we do adjust it, because conjunctions can indicate two planets that are starting a new cycle here with one another. So this to me is a very good thing, bringing even more realizations than we were getting, or more significant ones, your other ones that can just be very helpful for us to really readjust and work through things, and maybe even heal. To me, Mercury retrograde can also be a symbol of healing here too. What insights are we getting, or what do we feel we're really healing and working through better? Well, these are going to be Leo themes. Leo, to me, especially if we're talking about things that need to be healed, can indicate a fear of being seen, with it being very bright, especially with the sun being there. A fear of being seen can also indicate a fear of being happy, or doing what you love, what you enjoy. Leo also has to do with happiness here, and can also be a fear of standing out and being different, right? Part of being seen is people looking at you, and you being different maybe than them here as well. That's going on. So I think that this is us either realizing how to heal that, or just feeling, maybe that's more feeling like we have healed and significantly worked through, and are working through that fear around being seen, around being ourselves, around being happy here, and are more able to do that. Okay, in addition to that, I know that Mercury is not in Virgo now, but it was in Virgo. So I'm just going to mention it now, since I don't talk to you all every day. It was in Virgo, where it made a conjunction to Venus in Virgo. And that can also indicate the healing and working through some issues as well around guilt and shame, especially for being happy, doing what's in our best interest here, and perfectionism, people pleasing, being too critical, and all of that, that we've also worked through here. So what this all means to me now, to bring it together here, is that what's going on at this full moon in Aquarius is that we're realizing, all the ways that we've been, stuck in the expectations of society and of other people that are not true to us, and that we want to break free from that and let go of that, and that we want to release the negative emotions surrounding that. That's very important here, and move on into a different experience. And not only are we realizing that, but we are in some ways feeling more healed, or in a healthier space to do that. Like we have worked through over the course of the past few weeks some significant fears to doing what we want to do, without the expectations of society, where we feel like we can let ourselves be happier now and have more fun and express ourselves without all the guilt and shame and everything else that's going on. Okay, there. All right, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I think I want to mention, which is going to be here, that this full moon is making which is going to be a square to Uranus and Taurus by both the moon here and the sun, and of course Mercury too being close by, making that square there. And now this to me is more of a difficult thing. It's more of a difficult thing here because there are two squares three squares if we count Mercury here that are being made. And also too, because Uranus is in Taurus, a sign it does not like to be in. What is the difficulty here that's going on? Well, Uranus, which is involved here, especially with it being the ruler of the full moon, can be about the future, things being from the future or being very future oriented here as well. That could also be a bit startling. Uranus can have to do with that. So one of the challenges, I'm going to give you another thing here that's going on. Again, a challenge because it's a square, is that we are getting a lot of ideas here about how we want to break free from the expectations of society and do our own thing and not care what everyone else is thinking, and how we feel healed enough to do that. A lot of the healed, the fear, the guilt, the shame, and all of that here. But even though we're getting it and we're thinking these things and we think we're healed here, this insight that this is what we want to do now, we don't want to care, we're healed, is so foreign to us. It's so foreign and so different from the way we've been living life and operating and thinking prior to this point that it can feel startling here, and it can feel a little bit uncomfortable. That's going on. Not only that, but another thought here too, not only can Uranus indicate a sudden and unexpected insight, right, which is what I think some of these are, that are too foreign, a little too foreign, that it makes us out of our comfort zone, but this can also indicate as well an unexpected action, an action that we may take or that someone else may take, decide to take, especially around a full moon here. And I think an unexpected action on these ideas, right? On these ideas to break free from the expectations of society, to not care what other people think here that's going on, and to do it in a more healed way where we're happier, more in our power and things like that. It can also bring an unexpected behavior there. Okay, to try to embody it, especially in a real way, a tangible and practical way, with Taurus being an earth sign. But even though it can also bring that, again, there's something hard about this action if we take it, us or someone else. Something hard about this action because, again, it's the function of two squares, and Uranus here is in Taurus where it doesn't like to be, so something's going to go wrong. Okay, what may go wrong there? Well, Taurus is a lot about confidence and stability. So maybe we do try to assert this new thing, new idea, don't care what other people think, I'm going to be me, in a more practical way here. And maybe we feel insecure about it, or there's some instability, create some kind of instability here in our lives that's going on here at this time. Not only that, but it can also have to do with, I think there's something too, not only about ourselves feeling insecure and unstable, but I think there's also something about relationships maybe also not responding too well either. And I think there's something about relationships possibly not responding too well either here because sure, Taurus is about stability, but we've also got Uranus and Aquarius involved, which are about other people, groups of people and things like that. So it could also startle other people too, these things that it is that we're doing, and really challenge them, and maybe even create disagreements here, since this is a square Mercury, right? Or challenging conversations here, maybe even arguments with Mars and Gemini. Mars can make people aggressive, Mars with their words, Gemini and Venus and Virgo, kind of critical about things, can also upset other people too, and other people too who aren't willing to accept that you're going to be different, that you're going to not abide by their expectations anymore. Because remember, when I talked about Aquarius at the beginning of this video, I mentioned Aquarius is all about accepting that not only can we be free to do what we want without the expectations, but so too can other people. So there can also be not only an inner struggle to accept, like, oh my gosh, this is who I am now, this is so different, but a struggle for us to accept other people to be free, and for them to accept us and what we might do, that can create some difficulties there. Not only that, but I should note too, Taurus can also have to do with money. So it could also just create some weird situations with money as well, as we try to do, and not care about these things with other people are thinking, that might have to do with finances as well. Hey, so that's what I see going on there, maybe to bring all of that together, right? At this full moon in Aquarius, we're realizing that we're giving in too much the expectations of society and other people that's keeping us stuck in all these things we don't want to do, and that we need to break free from that to be more of who we want to be, that's authentic to us and in our best interest, and to not care about the haters and the naysayers here. And we feel like we're healed, or have healed a lot of the fears and insecurities in the way of that in order to do so. Here that's going on. And not only have we realized that and feel that here, which is a very, very good thing, but even though we realize that and feel that, this insight and feeling may be so foreign to us and not what we're used to, that we may feel really uncomfortable and struggle to embrace it and embody it in a more permanent way. And not only can this insight, even though I like it, feel really foreign, but some of us may then unexpectedly try to act on this insight just to get the ball rolling, and also experience difficulty there. Experience not only difficulty with the idea, but with the action, because we still don't feel confident in this new mindset, again, because it's so new and so different here, and because of other people. It's hard for them to accept that this is what we're doing now. We're doing something different. We're not abiding by their expectations and rules in society. And for us to accept other people, that can create insecurity, disagreements, maybe even arguments, and just some weird situations here with money that's going on. That then leads me now to the next alignment I want to mention here, which is the fact that the sun here in Leo and Mercury as well are making a trine over here to Chiron in Aries. Now, this to me is also difficult because Chiron's involved, and a trine isn't always positive. It depends which planets are involved here. So I see this as a challenge. What is difficult about it? Well, Chiron has to do with triggers, fears, and insecurities that are coming up to the surface now. More fears. Maybe we didn't realize we had that. Maybe still haven't been healed, right? Chiron can also be about healing that we still need to work through. That can be hard. And in Aries, these triggers around ourselves, our identity, asserting that, doing what we want to do, what's in our best interest, what we're passionate and excited about, with it being a fire sign here as well, that can be very hard, throw us back into some old fears and triggers, and also make us feel stuck, right? Aries is about movement and action. Chiron makes that hard, going to make us feel stuck here too. So do you see, to continue bringing it together, we're realizing here, I'm playing too much by everyone else's rules and what they think and their expectations, and it's getting me in bad places where I don't want to be. I need to stop that and do more of what I want to do, what's in my best interest here, and not care. That's important. Not care what everyone else thinks and just do me. And we think we're in a healthier place in order to do that after working through some fears the past few weeks. Okay. And because we are realizing that, and we think we're in a good enough place to do that, we then actually try to take action, I think unexpectedly, on these new insights, on us doing what we want to do. That's not the expectations of other people, and not caring what other people think, and it backfires. It's not working right. It's not working right here, creating a lot of insecurity within ourselves, and disagreements and arguments potentially with other people, and weird situations with money. And it's not working out, and it's not going well, because this is so different to us. These actions here, where we don't care what other people think, is so different to us and not something we're used to doing, and so foreign to us here. That's going on, and uncomfortable here. And because there are other people are having a difficult time accepting that we're breaking away from the expectations of society, from the pack, and we're having a problem maybe accepting other people doing that as well, which is challenging and hard, and bringing up more triggers and insecurities that maybe we thought we had healed, that we really haven't healed, around asserting ourselves, around being in our best interest here, making us feel stuck yet again, like we still can't do what we want to do here, and very emotional and upset, I think, about the whole thing. And that then leads me now to the next alignment, a group of alignments. I'm going to mention these all together here that's going on. And that's going to be Mars here making a conjunction to Jupiter at the time of this full moon in Gemini. This to me is also not my favorite alignment, because Jupiter's in Gemini, a sign it does not like to be in here, and because Mars can be a bit aggressive as well. So this to me is not my favorite. Jupiter's what does it mean? Jupiter's a very big planet. Mars can be very aggressive, can push things a lot. And in Gemini, that's potentially conversations with other people, and also thoughts within ourselves. Hey, but more thoughts and conversations doesn't always mean better, especially when Jupiter is in Gemini, a sign it doesn't like to be in. All right, because Gemini has a lot to do with facts and ideas and conversations, and Jupiter has to do with wisdom. So Gemini is not really good at creating meaning from facts, and kind of figuring that out. So this can create a lot of thoughts with ourselves, a lot of conversations with other people that don't mean much. Where are they going? Where are they going? What do they mean? What is someone really saying? We don't know. It's all confusing and it's all up in the air. Not only that, but this can also, again, create arguments. Mars can be aggressive. Words, through our words, more arguments here that's going on. In addition to confusion and arguments, this can also create overwhelm, right? Too much, like the Jupiter and Mars. It's like too much thoughts, too many conversations. It's just a lot here that's going on that we're thinking about, maybe too that we're even feeling with some of this other stuff here as well. That can be very hard here too. And in addition, I need to note, right, the Mars and Jupiter is making a square to Saturn, also a symbol of stuckness, and a square to Venus, also hard to really figure things out in a practical way, and Virgo also practical way here as well. So can just create a very big mess here that's going on here. So to bring all of that together, before I think I switch to some advice, what I think is going on right at this full moon is that we're realizing we're too stuck in the expectations of other people and what they want us to do, which is keeping us in all these situations we don't want to be in, and that we need to break free from their expectations and do what's in our best interest, what's going to make us happy without caring what they think, and just go for it here. And we feel and we think we've healed enough fear and guilt and shame around that in order to do it. And because we are thinking that and we think we're ready, I think many of us, or the people we're connecting with, are going to take action suddenly and unexpectedly in order to do that, in order to do what we or they want to do that's in their best interest without caring about other people here that's going on. And I think that is not going to work, or there's going to be a lot of issues surrounding that here that's going to go on, where we're going to feel either really uncomfortable here, have challenges with money, or get in arguments and disagreements here with relationships and other people. And the reason why things are going to backfire here is because this way of behaving is so new and different. It's not what we're comfortable with here that's going on. And because we or the people we're connecting with are having trouble accepting that everyone is different and that not everyone has to conform to society's standards, and to make space for that here that's happening, which then is going to throw us back into some very significant triggers and wounds and subconscious fears and insecurities around ourselves and asserting ourselves and being who we are. That's going to be very confusing, overwhelming, maybe even angering here, maybe exhausting too. That can be just a messy and a big challenge here to deal with. Okay. What now? What then? I think that's all I'm going to mention here. What then do I want to give you is the advice around how to handle this. I think the advice that I want to give you is to try to assert, try to do what you want to do. That's in your best interest, that's fun for you, without caring what other people think. Do try to do it. I think in some ways, right? In whatever way it is, it doesn't, whatever way you can here, because there is something to be learned through trying and failing and all of that here that's going on. And because I do think there is somewhat of an energy of like wanting to, like the Mars Jupiter can be like, I want to say something, I want to do something, like a lot of that. The North nodes and Aries, even the Leo can be bold. So I think, right, that's my first piece of advice, is like, if you feel so compelled, then do try to do what you feel is going to make you happy without caring about what other people think here, even if it backfires. Like I might say, even if there are problems, because you learning and failing is going to teach you, is going to help you learn and teach you and give you practice, right, in order to figure some of these things out. Not only is that the advice, but another piece of advice that I want to give you here as well is to maybe take frequent breaks. Okay. When it comes to doing this, and give yourself some time and space as well here to do it. Also because of the Aquarius, Aquarius needs space. It likes to detach, in a lot of ways here, and to give yourself frequent time and space in between doing here to calm your emotions down, right? To calm the triggers, because sometimes it's hard to keep doing what I want to do without caring what other people think when you very much care what other people think, so you might need to give yourself time to calm down those emotions here as well, and to kind of separate from the situation to calm down before starting again here. So I think that's part of the advice here. And it's not either or. It's not like do and give yourself space. It's like balance both. Try doing what you want to do without caring what other people think. And then when that gets too much, balance that with space for a minute. I'm going to take time for me away from that. And then once you got space, your emotions have calmed down, right? Because Aquarius is a lot about calming the emotions, then go back to try again. And do that again, because practice helps you learn how to do something and put it into action. Okay, not only is that the advice, but maybe the last piece of advice I'll give you is just awareness, to just be aware here that, you may try to assert what you want to do and not care what other people think, and you may not be there yet, and you may need more time to practice and work all that stuff out, because sometimes awareness can also help to increase, compassion for ourselves and others and get us on the right path here that it is that we need. Okay. And that's it. Because that's it, I'm now just going to repeat that one last time here without the jargon before I move on. So let me do that now. What I think is going on here at this full moon in Aquarius is that we are realizing that we have been given way too much weight to other people's opinions and expectations, and the expectations of society, which has been bringing us into a whole bunch of areas and situations and things we don't really want to be doing that are not in our best interest. Not only are we realizing that, but we're also realizing too that we need to stop doing that. We need to stop caring about and giving into the expectations of other people here, and to do more of what we want to do, what makes us happy, what's in our best interest, without worrying about other people and what they're saying. Not only that, but we also think that we've healed enough of the guilt and the shame and the fear around doing that in order to make that happen. And because we think those things, we then may suddenly and unexpectedly act out, or the people we're connecting with, to take this idea, these thoughts. I'm going to assert myself and my own best interest, I want to be happy without caring what other people think, in practice. Unexpectedly act out to try that and put that into practice, and that may go wrong and not work right. How may that go wrong? Well, it may startle us. We may feel really uncomfortable, really insecure doing that. Not only may it startle us, but it may create weird situations with money. And in addition to that, it may startle other people and create arguments and disagreements here with other people that's going on here that can lead to a lot of confusion, a lot of overwhelm, a lot of exhaustion, and a lot of big subconscious triggers around being our authentic self here, and in the face of opposition here that haven't fully been healed, that still need to be worked through. And the reason why this is a bit of a mess here that's going on when we try to put these ideas into action is because these ideas are so new and foreign to us, and we've never done them before. And because they're so new and we've never done them before, we don't quite know how to do it right here. And because we, or the people that we're connecting with here, are having trouble accepting that everyone can be different, and not everyone has to follow along with the rules of society and their expectations here, and can be their own person here that's going on. And also too, because I think emotions are very high around these things that we want and that we're passionate about here at this time. And because that's going on, I'm going to give you some advice here on how to handle that. And the advice that I want to give you on how to handle this here is to yes, do it. Do what you think is in your best interest and what's going to make you happy without caring about what other people, but to know that it may not go well and that other people aren't going to like it. You very much care what they think here. Not only is it awareness here that it may not go well, but to also try to balance some of your actions that you're doing with time and space alone, to kind of recalibrate your emotions and to calm your emotions down so that you can deal with these situations here much better that's going on. And to see this trying and failing and giving yourself space and trying again as a form of practice to really help you learn how to do it in a good way here that it is that you really need. Okay, and that's it. Okay, that I'm going to say there. Okay, because that's it, I'm now going to add just a few other things at this point in the video that maybe I didn't mention before, or just bring it more together here and emphasize certain things that I think are important. Okay. I think the first thing that I want to say here at this full moon in Aquarius is about what makes it different than the last full moon that we had in Capricorn. Okay, if you watched that video that I did a month ago, because I believe at the last full moon in Capricorn, I also talked about us trying to stand up for ourselves and do what's in our best interest and do what we want to do, right? And what we think is going to make us happy, right? So what's the difference? If both that full moon in Capricorn a month ago and this full moon in Aquarius are about that, what's the difference? Well, the difference about this full moon in Aquarius this time around, of which this video is for, is that we're trying to stand up for ourselves from a more healed place where we just don't care what other people think, right? That's the difference, okay? A month ago, we tried to stand up for ourselves, but we very much cared about what other people think, and we didn't know what the issue was about why we couldn't do it and why they were mad with us, and we had a lot of guilt and shame. Do you see? Well, this full moon in Aquarius, we know we're going to stand up for ourselves. People aren't going to like it because we already did that a month ago. We stood up for ourselves. Someone did not like it a month ago. So now the takeaway is not for me to hide who I am. The takeaway is for me to continue to stand up for myself, but just not to care if they don't like it. To just not care if they don't like it and to do it anyways. Do you see? Okay, I want to be very clear here. That is the difference. And that is what this full moon in Aquarius is about. I'm going to stand up for myself. I know you're not going to like it, but I'm going to do it anyways. Okay? Because I'm trying not to care. I'm trying not, because I need to do me, and because I'm trying not to care, right? And it's about us trying to disassociate the emotions from it, especially with Aquarius being an air sign, right? Where the full moon is. It's about not caring. I'm going to do me. I'm not going to care if you don't like it. Okay, that's what this full moon in Aquarius is about. Okay, if that's what this full moon in Aquarius is about, right, and that's how it's different from the last full moon in Capricorn, then what then is the challenge here? How is the challenge different? Okay, because remember, there's something similar about them. Okay, and both Capricorn and Aquarius are Saturn ruled signs. There is something similar about them already. There is something similar about them. So not only is that what's the main theme that's different between the last full moon in Capricorn and this full moon in Aquarius, but how is the main challenge different, right? Because we're standing up for ourselves both times, and there's an issue both times. Well, the issue with this full moon in Aquarius is that even though we're trying to detach, right? Even though we know I need to do what I want to do, other people aren't going to like it, and I need to do it anyways and not care. The issue is that we still very much care what other people think, right? We still very much care what other people think, especially in reality, especially in practice here that's going on, okay? You know, so I'm hoping that makes sense. Last full moon in Capricorn a month ago, sorry, I'm going to keep repeating it until I say it right in a way that makes sense to me. Last full moon in Capricorn, we realized we need to stop doing what everyone else wants us to do and do what we want to do and stand up for ourselves. And we did it, and then we had problems. People didn't like it. And the challenge at that full moon in Capricorn is that we didn't know that people weren't going to like it. Or we didn't know if we should do what they want to do or do what we want to do. And what's changed for this full moon in Aquarius in the month is that we now know we need to do what we want to do and stop giving in to other people. Not only is that change of this full moon in Aquarius that we need to do what we want to do and stop giving in to other people, but what we've also learned at this full moon in Aquarius is that we can't let other people's opinions make us feel bad for doing what's in our best interest, and we need to detach from that. And then at this full moon in Aquarius, we do that again, try to stand up for ourselves and what's in our best interest, thinking we've healed that and that we really don't care what other people think, but deep down we do. Deep down we do care what other people think. So I'm hoping you all can see. Let me see if I can write it. There's Capricorn, here's Aquarius. The Capricorn full moon, standing up for self, maybe that's what I'll say. The Aquarius full moon, standing up for self. That's how they're similar. Both have an issue. People don't like it, challenge. once we stand up for ourselves. Okay, the issue with the Capricorn full moon is that we didn't realize there was going to be a challenge, and the challenge that came up, we thought we needed to we still felt conflicted about. Do we need to give into? And the difference here at this Aquarius full moon is that there's a challenge. We knew a challenge was probably going to come up. We know we need to keep doing what we want to do and not give in to the other person, and we still don't feel right. Okay. Is going on. Okay, so I hope maybe that helps some of you. I hope that didn't confuse you more. Another thing that I want to say here, what else does that mean? Right? Because isn't it interesting? At this full moon in Aquarius, we have more awareness now. That's key, especially Aquarius is air. We have more awareness now. We're going to stand up for ourselves. People aren't going to like it. We need to do it anyways and not care. But we still have problem putting it into reality. And I think that's the crux of what I really think is the most important thing here about this full moon in Aquarius is that we know what needs to happen here. We know it intellectually. Aquarius is very forward thinking. And Aquarius gets it, can be very sharp. It's an air sign. Aquarius, I know exactly what I need to do here. I need to do what I need to do. I need to stop caring what other people think. And that's going to get me where I want to go. But even though we know what we want to do, it's putting it into practice. That's the hard part, especially with the square to Uranus and Taurus, an earth sign. Fixed earth. Earth practicality, fixed, staying stubborn in it. We know what we need to do, but actually doing it in practicality and staying stubborn in it, this is me. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to follow your expectations of society. I'm going to be stubborn about it. Still hurts. It still hurts. It still hurts when other people don't like it. It's still hard. It's one thing to know that you shouldn't care when someone doesn't like what you're doing. It's another thing to actually do the thing and then someone not care, So I think that's the real struggle here that's going on. Okay. And the way to resolve that struggle here of I know what I need to do, but doing it is hard, is not to not do it, right? Is not to not do it, because then you would never really learn. I think the way to resolve that struggle is to realize I know what needs to be done. Doing it is hard. So I'm going to practice it more. I'm going to try to do it more. Maybe you might want to control some of those things so that they don't get so crazy, but you'll create small opportunities for you to practice asserting yourself and not caring here so that you can learn how to overcome that and then balance that with moments where you can recuperate and calm down here. That's happening. So I hope you all are seeing this. Last month, we tried to stand up for ourselves. Full moon in Capricorn, and assert ourselves here. And we thought that was going to work. I don't know. People were going to lay down and do what we want them to do. Whatever. It didn't. There was a lot of challenge. That was really frustrating. Well, what we learned from that full moon in Capricorn a month ago is that we need to stop caring what other people think and do what we want to do anyways, because not everyone's going to always like what we're doing. And because of that, at this full moon in Aquarius, we're trying unexpectedly to put that into action. We're trying unexpectedly to say, okay, I'm going to do what I want to do. Maybe even the same thing I was trying to do a month ago with relationships, with my life. And I know people aren't going to like it. I'm going to try to do it anyways and not care what other people think and go forward on it. And us doing that, and that's still being hard because we still very much care. And because thinking we don't care is different than actually doing it here. Okay? That's creating a bunch of challenges. And the way to overcome it is to not try to do what we want to do and not care. We have to keep trying because that's how we learn, and to give ourselves space and time to breathe as we work through it, and be kind to ourselves as we practice here that's going on. And maybe even another thought, give ourselves safer environments to practice here as well. That's happening. Okay. So, oops. So that's, I think, what I feel is going on here and the main problem. Okay, what else do I want to say? Not caring, the releasing the emotion. Okay, what does this mean for relationships in particular? Maybe now I want to go specific. Do I want to go specific on that? Well, hold on. Before I go specific on that, I want to emphasize one other thing. When it comes to the advice and the way to deal with that, it's not either or, doing or not doing, space. It's a combination of both. Keep that in mind. It's both. We have to keep trying to conquer this fear and to be ourselves and to not care what other people think, but give ourselves space periodically when it gets to be too much to calm down, okay? In order to keep going with it and to learn and to heal and to work through some of those things. So again, it's not either or, because sometimes some of you are like that. I don't understand. Do I engage and do, or do I space out and ignore? And it's like, well, a little bit of both. You got to balance it right. Okay, is my answer. Okay, what about relationships in particular? Now, how specifically would this look for relationships? Because obviously relationships are an important part of life and a lot of people care about that. Well, what could happen at this full moon in Aquarius is that you could be engaged with a relationship. It could be a friend, it could be a lover, it could be a boss, it could be anyone. You could have a person around, and you or they could realize, I've been living too much by this other person's expectations and it's not making me happy, and I want to start to do more of my own thing and just not care what they're thinking and then try to do it. Okay, and that can obviously, create an argument of like, who's right, who's wrong, who's this and who's what. Okay, I think what I want to note here about that is that another part of the lesson, right, I'm going to go in a lot of places here with this, but is that another part of the lesson of this full moon in Aquarius is to realize that everyone is different and it doesn't make them bad, right? Aquarius is, sure, the sign of, if people think of being unique, but it's also the sign of the collective, right? The groups of people, friends, like you're unique, just like everybody else, right? Like you being unique makes you the same as everybody else because everyone's unique. We're all like, so I think, and Aquarius is a lot about freedom. So I think another thing that I want to say about relationships and about this full moon is that it's not just about you doing what you want to do, what's in your own best interest and asserting that and not caring about what other people think, but it's also about letting other people do the same, giving them the freedom to do the same too. About you saying to another person, you know what, that's your expectation. It's not in my expectation. It's not in my best interest. I'm going to do me and I'm not going to care what you think. And by also telling the other person, and you can do you. If I say something that you don't like, that's not you can do you, and that's not going to bother me either. I think there's also a sense of that, because sometimes when we, are thinking about our lives and reflecting on it, we think of it more from our point of view as individuals, how we're being wronged, how people aren't being fair to us, but it works both ways. If you want other people to give you the freedom to not follow their rules, to not follow their expectations, then you need to give them the freedom to not follow your rules, to follow their own rules, their own expectations, their own beliefs, their own ideas, their own passions, to do what's in their own best interest. So another lesson, I think, at this full moon in Aquarius is not just about us learning how not to care what other people think when we're doing what we're doing, but it's about us learning how not to care if other people aren't doing what we want them to do. How not to, right? It works both ways. How not to care if other people don't like what we're doing, and how not to care if other people are doing something we don't like. There's like this whole feeling here of like, we have to, if you want freedom to be you got to give the people you're connecting with the freedom to be themselves and not force them to be something you want them to be because you want them to be it, because that's not fair either. Okay. So I think we're also learning that and struggling with that too. Okay. Not only do I want to say that about relationships, but again, that can make relationships very interesting. Okay. Of course, it can create the arguments. So let's start there. That can create the arguments. That's where I was, of like, I want to do this thing that's, in my best interest. You don't like it. I'm going to do it anyways. Right. And there's an argument there, because maybe someone might not like that you have the freedom to do it. But let's say there's another situation with relationships where you let yourself do what you want to do, right? Without the expectations of, say, your partner. And then let's say they also were in the same boat. They're like, I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm not going to care about what you think. What happens then with the relationship you're in, right? What happens when you're in a relationship and both of you can't agree? You both just want to do your own thing, and there's without worrying about what the expectations of the other person and caring about that. Then what do you do here? How does that work? And I think if that's you in your situation here, then now I want to give you some specific advice about that. And I think the advice that I want to give you is, if that's you and you're in a relationship situation here, I would not make a permanent decision to begin or end that relationship until Mercury goes direct, at least at the earliest, but really until probably that new moon solar eclipse in Libra about 2 months, a month and a half from now, I believe. So I would wait to make a permanent decision on that until then. Not only is the advice there, but I would spend between now until then trying and practicing, right? To make the relationship work. Well, can we work together, right? If I do my thing and you do your thing and they don't really meet in the middle, and none of us is caring, like, can we make it work in reality? And practicing, trying and practicing and seeing. It may not work at first, it may not work at all. Eventually, you may have to end that relationship, the solar eclipse in Libra, okay? But it's about trying and practicing to see if you can make it work here. That's going on and all that, and balancing that with space, right? It's like, let's try and see if it works, then let's give ourselves space when we get triggered. Try and to give us space when we get triggered. So that's the way that might work. You don't want to do what I want to do, I don't want to do what you want to do. Where does the relationship go from here? I don't know. You're going to decide that a month and a half from now. Let's just see if we can figure it out. In between that time, by trying to get along some days and giving ourselves space other days when it gets to be too much, and taking a break, to bring it together, okay? You got to see if it can work in a practical way, right? Because sometimes a relationship, to be honest with you, needs more than love in order to work. You need to be able to fit into each other's lifestyles. So you got to spend the next, month and a half figuring that out. And you're not going to know unless you try and see, and give yourself space as you're doing that, right? In order to, and respect each other's boundaries as you're doing that, to see if it's going to come together. Okay. So there are my thoughts there on that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this can also work for a project too. If you want to think about it more broadly, it doesn't have to involve a relationship. Let's just say there's a project that you're working on. Could be a work project, could be a creative project, doesn't matter. And you're trying to do it and just not care what other people are going to think of your creative project or your business, financial project, like whatever it is. It could also be a situation like that. And then you actually try to move forward on that creative project and put it out there into the world, and then people don't like it. It could be another situation like that here that's going on, or you show it to one person and they don't like it. And I think it's a time of practicing, not of like doing the final thing and it being perfect, and all of that, but of like practicing, getting used to other people seeing and you doing it anyways, and you not caring, of like, and then space and balancing, right, of all of that too. So it can also play out that way. Okay. Okay, and to use it however it might apply. Okay, another thought here as well, is that this can also apply on a collective scale here as well, and not just in our personal relationships, and I think part of the way that it could play out on a collective scale too is, I think what we're learning collectively, right, is that there's a lot of different people in the world that have different beliefs, different ideas, different places they come from, different ways of looking at things, that they might want to do that's in their best interest, what's going on, and to realize that they're not bad people, right? They're not, and we're not bad because we're different, to realize that we're all different. We're not bad because we're different. And where we're trying to figure out how to live with each other. I think that's another way this could work out on the collective, is like us trying to figure out how to live with each other, because that's part of the problem, right? Part of the problem is practice of theory. We're getting it. Theory, we're getting it. Need to be myself, give other people freedom to be themselves, but practice how we live together is hard. So this is also us trying to figure out here how to actually enact that in reality, here that's going on. And to keep that in mind. Okay. All right, I think that's all I have to say there. Now let's go ahead and let's look at the inside degrees. So we're going to go ahead and do that. The inside degrees weren't written by me. They're written by someone else named Elias Lonsdale, who channeled the meanings for each of the degrees from Spirit. I just like his work. So we're going to look at that. The full moon is at 27 degrees Aquarius, but the degrees before, of, and after can all be relevant. Okay, here's Aquarius 26. It says, vicarious experience, living through others, collecting data, knowing what everyone thinks. You put your attention rapidly outside yourself into the collective and its traps and pitfalls. So I think the first thing that comes to me here is that we're still giving too much weight at this time too much weight to other people's opinions, right? That's still a problem that hasn't fully been worked through, and to things outside of ourselves, right? Right? Because we're trying not to care. Do you see with this full moon what we've been talking about? We're trying to do what we want to do without caring what other people think. But other people are still presenting problems. And we are now very triggered because we still very much care. And because we care, because we're putting so much weight on other people's opinions and on things outside of ourselves, instead of putting more weight on what's inside of us and on who we are and what we believe, and what we want to do, and all of that. And so I think that this is how that fits into me, is that what fits in, I think, is that at this full moon in Aquarius, we're so concerned about what everyone else is or is not doing or does and does not say about what we do. And it's like, just focus on yourself and let everyone else do what they want to do, and like bring the attention back inwards. Okay. Next, it says circulating in the thick of collective karmas. So I think that means to me there's some karma going around here. This is karma that needs to be resolved, that may have been going on for a while here, especially now with Pluto in that sign. It says you are cynically fascinated by what is wrong, what is miserable, what is rotten, gathering lessons from the worst. Some are taken over by the downward tug of wastage, decadence, and the end of things. Okay. So this may indicate that at this full moon, there's more of a tendency towards the negative or towards triggers here that's going on. Even though we do have some good ideas here, witty, stimulating, provocative. Okay. So I think that's what I get from that. And let's go to Aquarius 27. It says, if vision and practical skills are brought into a place beyond either one, new worlds can come into being. I do like that, because remember from this video, I think a big problem that's going on at this full moon is that we know we need to not care about what other people think and just kind of do what we want and let other people also be free to do the same, right? That's vision. We know we have the inner vision, the clarity about it, but putting it into practice is the hard part. Doing what we want to do, even when other people don't like it, even though we know we shouldn't care about what they like, is hard. Letting other people do what they want to do, to see it from the reverse, I haven't said this part, letting other people do what they want to do, even if we don't want them to do it and don't like what they're doing, is hard in practice, even if we believe they should have the freedom to do it. So vision and practical skills, I think that's what's missing here. And it says, this degree is saying, if we can bring both together, this idea that we have with practical application, it's going to be good. New worlds can come into being, new ways of life, that are going to be better for us can occur. Okay, let's read on. It says, tenacity is the key. You have to see the pattern, inscribe the pattern, and let it set collectively. For when you're out ahead of everybody else, you must master the craft of timing in this earth. This to me is an interesting sentence. In one way, that it says to me of action, right? You tenacity to me is like, you got to be tenacious. You got to like be courageous. That's what I think tenacious means, if I have it right. You got to be courageous, you have to face things head on, which to me indicates you have to keep trying to do what you want to do, even if other people don't like it, and keep trying not to care, right? You have to be tenacious and courageous about it. But then on the other hand, from this sentence, I see the thing about timing. You must master the craft of timing. And to me, mastering the craft of timing means waiting until the time is right, which is not all the time. here. So this inside degree to me also gives a little bit of the balance, the both. It's not the duality. It's not either or. It's not acting on what you want to do without caring, and it's not doing nothing and like chilling. It's a matter of both. Act, try to act and see if the time is right for you to do what you want to do. And then if it goes wrong and if it's not right, okay, don't it. And rest, and then try again and see, can I do it now and not care what other people think? Okay. I think there's some of that here as well. Yeah. I get a sense still of the both. It's not either resting or doing, it's both. It says everything is perfect in the right time and awful when out of sync. Contained within yourself is a blueprint for the future. You need to season and temper the extraordinary forefront awareness with life experience. So there's that again too, of like the vision and the awareness with the life experience, the practical stuff. Okay. I want to read 28. It says, karmic processes restrict the self, curb the self, dictates what must happen to the self. A work upon yourself and far more strongly in outer plane self-discipline has been in progress a long time. It must be resumed, taken further, no matter what. Okay, so what this indicates to me is that this process, could be uncomfortable, but can be helpful if we kind of follow it through to the end and don't give up, because maybe some of you will. Maybe some of you are going to be like, oh, this is just too hard. Like I tried to do what I wanted. People didn't like it. And then I tried not to care about whether they didn't like it. And that also was hard. I'm just going to give up. And so I think there's also a thought here of like, don't give up. Sometimes it just takes a minute for us to find our footing here that's going on. Okay. Okay. This part is also interesting. The next sentence says, unfortunately, this often means imposing duties upon yourself preemptively. What that brings up in me is that some of you may feel, not only may some of the stuff that we've been talking about in this video be the expectations of society or other people, but sometimes we take the expectations of other people and we put it on ourselves and we internalize it. Of like, no one else is expecting me to do it, but I expect me to do it because of the way it should be, So I think there's also a need to look inwards at what expectations do we have of ourselves that really don't support our best interest either. Okay. Let's just read on. A dilemma faces you. Recurrent crossroads to stay with what has been set up or to introduce innovations. Any such innovation represents a huge issue, but without them, the inner core of self is shortchanged. You are being propelled by a greater destiny current to honor all karmic agreements. To enhance these by bringing into play a vitally engaged present time, attentive willingness to be surprised, meet things from another side. So I think this is just, you just got to keep trying to do things in a different way, even if it's uncomfortable. So I think that's what I get from the inside degrees. We're learning at this full moon to do what we want to do and not care about what other people. It's hard because people are still upset and we still very much care what other people think and the expectations and what's going on. And we need to take the emphasis away from other people and what they're doing and what society thinks and put it more inwards. What do you think? What's in your best interest, and place more weight on that. Here, that's going on, and get rid of our own expectations that we've taken on and internalized from society that also don't resonate with us, and then figure out how to keep going in a practical way and to get the courage and strength up, and the inner fortitude in order to keep trying to work these things out, with people, and not give up on the things that are important to us, even if we do need to balance it with rest sometimes in order to gather our emotions. Okay. And because it's going to get us to a much better place if we can do it. In a better place not too long from now, actually. It's going to get us in a better place where it's going to become easier for us to do that, right? Whenever you practice something, eventually it's going to get easier. Like the first few times you practice something, it's hard, and then it gets easy. So if we keep practicing our ability to just do what we want to do and not care what other people think, it may be hard the first few times, but it's going to eventually get easier. And I think it's going to get easier maybe even as soon as the end of the week when Mars squares Venus, which I tend to like, when Mercury goes direct. So I think it can get easier pretty soon here if we just keep at it another week or 2 or 3, which I think can be very good. Okay. Here. Okay. Anything else I want to say? I think that's it. Okay, because that's it, I guess I'm going to pull your card here. We've got the High Priestess upright. And at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Ten of Cups upright. You know, the High Priestess in some ways can be about things that are hidden, things that are unseen here. And I think there's a lot of insights, right, that we're having, right, that are unseen. You know, I think that's how I'm feeling it here with the High Priest. The High Priest is about things that are unseen and that aren't necessarily in the tangible world yet. And so this to me is referring to the Aquarius ideas of like, I gotta keep doing me without caring what other people think and like give them the freedom to do them too. Here that's going on. And I think the cards are saying that that idea is a good one and it's gonna bring you into a better experience, you know, if you just keep working at it. Not only do I see that, but I also see this as like a positive sign of like, stay hopeful, right? And we did see one of the inside degrees say there might be a tendency to think negatively and spiral downwards. And so I think these cards are saying, try your best to remain hopeful here. Now look on the positive side that all of this is teaching you something, that you're going to get the hang of it, that these are just growing pains, you know, here, and that, you know, at the end of it all, you're going to figure it out and be in a much better place where you feel more emotionally fulfilled. You know, the cups are about your emotions, and the 10 can be a lot about fulfillment too, which is really what we're trying to do. We're trying to go into a place where we do what we want to do, which is going to make us happier. So I think that's the point there, you know, and to focus on the good thing that's possible at the end and not all the challenges in between here that's going on. Another thing too that I want to note is there is something about this full moon in Aquarius, right, about not caring. I've said that multiple times. Like, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm just not going to care what you think. And kind of turning off the emotions a little bit. And I think I almost want to say as well that sometimes we need to like turn off the wrong emotions in order to turn on the right ones here, especially with, you know, this card being a very emotional one, the 10 of Cups going on. So I think another thought that I want to say is that some of you may need to turn off certain emotions at this full moon, especially when you're getting very triggered by other people's responses. But the turning off those emotions, especially about what other people are thinking, is going to help you tap into better ones here. That's going on, and to feel better as well, and to keep that in mind. And that some of you may not be feeling happy, right? Like if there's some of you that are like, I've just been depressed and unhappy for a while. Some of you, right, it might be because you've been listening too much to other people's opinions and other people's emotions. And when you start to focus more on your own and do more of those things, here you might feel a bit better. And to be selective, right? To be selective about whose emotions and whose thoughts you honor here, that's going on, and bring more of the attention back to yourself, because that's weirdly gonna make things better there. So I think that's all I'm going to say there. I hope that was helpful for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the best, and I'll talk to you 2 weeks from now at that new moon in Virgo.